Welcome to Tehachapi, the City of Tehachapi's podcast, where we share conversations with local leaders, business owners, and community members. Don't miss an episode. Be sure to follow and subscribe to learn something new and discover ways to get involved in our community.
All right, welcome in once again to Tehachapi. Corey Costelloe today in the pilot seat. We have Garrett, and joining us on the program today, he's been on quite a few times, and we are recapping both the Kern Energy Summit and a few other things relating to economic development in Kern County. We want to welcome back to the program Richard Chapman, Executive Director of the Kern Economic Development Corporation. Richard, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's beautiful up here.
Yeah, blue sky. No
I
fog.
always love coming up the hill, and it seems like there's a new project, ribbon cutting, almost every other week or so.
Yeah, but you did point out that this is, we were talking energy, and today and yesterday for the most part as well. Sure, by the time this comes out, the weather will have changed 7 times, but there's no wind, so nothing's really turning on the hill today. So renewable energy, on the
sunny,
energy
though.
sector. Yeah, it is sunny, so
the
solar
solar
panels
is working.
Yeah, there you go.
It's one, it's
we're
one or
doing
the
our
other.
part.
Yeah, you want sunny, windy days, but we'll take sunny in some cases. But Richard, again, thanks for joining us. So we're coming off back on November 13th. We had the Energy Summit. What number Energy Summit was that?
19.
19.
Getting ready for the big 2-0.
I remember the first one. Who was the keynote? There's a little inside joke there.
We actually had a quiz, and the person who was the keynote, their picture was actually on the slide, and I think 40% of people at least got it wrong. Yeah. So it was Ed Begley
Not
Jr.
me. I got it right.
Yeah, the little quizzes you do. Greg does very well in those quizzes.
So I was. There was how many hundreds? Couple, two or three,
400.
400. And so I didn't join that quiz until after the third question.
Wow.
And I actually got 7th.
Yeah, that's what I know.
Which is crazy, right?
And you didn't use the pseudonym. It was Greg Garrett.
Well, I was.
He wants people to know how smart he is.
Well,
right?
I was just trying to quickly, I don't want to be Waldo or something,
Yeah, that was, and it covered all types of energy, but we threw in that one, which we thought most people would guess Ed Begley, who probably doesn't look. Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of the answers, or Rick Perry. Most people would know that Rick Perry or Arnold don't look like Ed Begley Jr.
Maybe those 10 people that picked one of the two, they just were doing that just to be funny. Who knows?
Possibly.
I was a joker.
You said the 20th is coming up. That'll be next year, and you're looking for a keynote. I threw out, before we started recording, Billy Bob Thornton because he's doing Landman, or Taylor Sheridan, maybe. He created the show. So you can dig deep in your pockets, try to pay that speaker's
You'd have to dig really deep. I'm not sure we have the budget for that, do we?
Yeah,
At KEDC?
I wonder what his themes would be, right?
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm getting season 2's on, so they film it, I assume, in Texas.
Yep. Out in the Permian Basin.
But he probably would be Ed Begley maybe will return engagement.
But you always sell out, so it's not as if you need a draw.
Correct.
Right? So let's stick to the facts and the people that know energy. And the Energy Summit covered, there's always oil and gas and renewables. We've got the battery storage. We've got HydroStore with this new technology, all kinds of really neat things. So let's just dive in and talk about what we learned at the Energy Summit. It was a great informational exchange for sure.
Well, and we are the energy capital of the West. People say California, but we actually have more renewable energy than any county in the country. 22,000 megawatts of permitted solar, wind, and then 15,000 megawatt hours of storage permitted. So I haven't found a county that can meet that. Maybe states can, but it's really a celebration. But also, this year with, of course, on the oil and gas front, with SB 237, which concluded, we can kind of start at the end of the event, SB 237 in terms of allowing permits, I guess in layman's term, for the next 10 years. And that's a wonderful thing, but also, I guess, cautious optimism because there's several factors, right? Like, oil's at $60 a barrel.
Something like that, yeah.
And a significant amount of investment. New Mexico has tripled production over the last 10 years.
Right.
So how do you get that investment to come back? And then I know Corey mentioned the refineries as well, that part of that equation.
Yeah, there's no refineries left in California. So even if you get it out of the ground, you got to ship it somewhere else to refine it. We had one, but then it caught fire not too long ago down south. And so, there's just not, it doesn't pencil for a lot of people even to pull it out of the ground because they got to send it so far to get it refined into gasoline.
Yeah, we went to 40. We had 40 at one point. Now it's around hovering on 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our consumption as a state pretty much has stayed around 500 million barrels a year, but our production is about less than a third of that. So something has to give. And obviously the consensus was in Sacramento, okay, well, how do we make it easier to pursue local production? We've always said we have the strictest regs in the world, so why can we prioritize that way back when?
Yeah.
But we're at 77% of our oil is being imported into the state.
Yeah, we're kind of an energy island, I
Yes,
suppose, even though we're producing a lot of energy. I'm just looking at this sheet. The largest oil tanker burns 4 tons of fuel every day. They're anchored. There's lots of them anchored out Long Beach and other places.
They're significant emitters.
Each ship emits 11 plus tons of carbon dioxide every day. A foreign oil tanker travels an estimated 8,800 miles, average of 0.004 miles per gallon to reach California ports. And oil tankers account for 13% of the world's marine CO2 emissions. And we have the biggest oil reserves ever in California, but we're not utilizing them. And Sacramento's moving back to some center, if you will, but those are big numbers. And we talk about pollution and things that are environmentally correct.
Yes.
That's not environmentally correct. Down in Brazil, they're cutting down rainforests for oil fields, and then they're putting them on tankers and sending them up here. That's just a double negative.
And the human rights records of these countries are pretty atrocious. So people don't want blood diamonds, right? But we're taking oil from countries, Iraq and others, that Saudi Arabia, that they're probably daily executions, right? Without due process.
Yeah, well, I know the Sacramento way to fix the oil tanker emission would be to make them electric oil tankers.
Okay.
Just get that out there. You can make them electric, and then they won't have emissions.
How do
How
you
do you
make
charge
electric?
them? How do we charge them?
Maybe they have
how
their
do you
little
make all
hydro
those
plant inside. It
components?
sucks the seawater, turns a turbine. I should.
Wow.
So I used to say common sense. Now I think it's called rare sense.
Rare sense.
There's
There you go.
rare sense is now the common.
Yes.
I think it's rare elements. That's the thing. A lot of these technologies use rare elements,
Right.
which again, the human rights records, environmental rights are leaching these rare elements.
Yeah.
But I read the other day, Richard, the United States of America is actually the biggest producer of oil now.
Yes,
Did
that's
you hear
true.
that? Yeah. So as a nation, we produce more oil than any other country in the world.
And look at New Mexico now. They produce more than most of the top South American countries. So they've gone now. They're at 2 million a day barrels. Texas is 5. We're at 300,000.
Right. And we export. So that's a good thing. So we're producing and exporting more. But there's some tweaks that still need to happen.
That's
in my opinion. And running back to solar real quick, you had some numbers earlier that were intriguing to me. But if you drive from Mojave to, say, Boron, have you been out that way lately?
We were at Boron for the East Kern
But
Alliance
solar
last week.
fields forever and ever.
2 million, 3 million panels.
As far as you can see. So when those solar fields come online, the numbers you just provided earlier, they're going to go up, I'm assuming, or was that part of it?
That's part either installed or in the permitted or planned, yes. Which is still
Just
big
big
out of
numbers.
this world.
Big numbers.
And then the battery storage, we're excited because they pay significant property tax, right? I mean, I think the AS when they were talking about 140, 50 million over 30 years. So, and then with the exemption at the state level for solar panels, I think that's sunsetting.
It is, yeah.
I know there's a local assessment fee. So that's the main thing is we accept these projects, right? Pretty unanimous. And, getting the monies to pay for roads and education is really critical.
Public
like
safety.
oil and gas has been doing.
And that's what I think it's important to explain that too, because it's without the battery storage. If you think, solar panels aren't considered an improvement to a property, right? Similar with farmland, right? Farmland pays very little property tax. It's unimproved farmland. The same goes for a solar field. If you're just putting panels up, it's still considered unimproved. And so when you add the batteries in the infrastructure, then there's a value to the property, which then bumps it up. So they are actually paying into county tax rolls and that sort of thing.
And so that's the thing that we're getting these projects that would not be allowed in other counties around us. So I always hope that we get the shout out right when folks come from other parts of California saying how much they love green energy. What would not be possible without Kern County's leadership?
Oh, and then we were mentioning it earlier too, but there's so many. I know you've talked to these people at these various ribbon cuttings or groundbreakings, whatever. But there's so many of these community choice aggregates in the Northern California area. They're basically cities that own power companies or counties that own power company. But what they do is they try to procure power on the open market at a lower rate. But they're in a green kick, so they want green energy, and people pay more for it. But they all get it from right here in Tehachapi, Mojave, East Kern. It's all being basically procured in their name, and then they're paying for it that way.
Yeah, the green electrons that we produce are what the vast majority are going to the coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so and that's the thing. I know you track with Placer AI the activity from these projects into Tehachapi, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Big impacts on everything from even just the solar projects. I think we looked at, you can look at the data and say, wow, there's people visiting us from Virginia. That's odd. Well, that's the AES headquarters. Or Salt Lake City. AES has a big footprint there, or Clearway Energy. So you can dial it down to the kind of corporate headquarters of a lot of these projects. And whether it's wind turbines or it's solar panels, they're bringing in. I think TerraGen, for example, was the one that I spoke to, and I spoke to most of them. But they bring in about 20 guests a month that come in, whether it's an IT consultant, it's a security consultant, it's a visitor corporate, and they're spending 2-3 nights at a pop at a hotel in Tehachapi to go visit their project out on Bacchus Road or wherever it may be. So, or Oak Creek Road, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a local impact from those projects outside of the city of Tehachapi. But just because we're kind of centrally located between the airport they're flying into in Bakersfield and the project's at, we get a lot of that impact. And a lot of those folks, they live in Tehachapi, so they steer their visitors to our hotels, our restaurants, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and the new money that's coming from these projects, obviously you're going to see with Hard Rock, the new money coming in. That's probably already coming into Tehachapi.
By the way, that was we went to the little VIP.
Yes.
Evening a couple weeks ago, Corey and I. It was spectacular.
Right.
It rivals Vegas. They're using a lot of energy, so that's part of our podcast, right? So
they are.
They're a user.
Turn them slot machines
but
somehow.
I have to say, Hard Rock and Tejon, Indian Tribe, they hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not a gambler, but I was really impressed.
We did teach Greg how to play blackjack on the table.
I know
my
how
wife
to play blackjack, but I'm not that guy. But I learned all the nomenclature, the little
split
things,
the bet,
splitting, and then you can split again. And I'm like, this is cool.
You're right. I was there that evening, and it was like you've been transported to Vegas, right? And I think people from LA throughout the state were there. And that's the thing, that we have the Olympics coming to LA, we have the World Cup, and we hear that the Hard Rock Casino Tejon, and then LA.
And
LA is marketing
energy to support all of these. That casino rivaled Vegas, honestly.
And that was
spectacular.
Really the underlying theme of the Energy Summit was the fact that, just like water, but you need power for every project.
Yeah,
and so, and we've got, obviously, the state of California has their electrification goals, 2035. You can probably punt that down to 2050, as we're not going to make it. But not only that, but as more of the demand increases just on every day, EVs, home charging.
Data center,
then data centers, which are, every time you use AI on your phone, I think you guys broke it down to how many hot dogs you can microwave in a microwave. Burritos, that's what it was.
I can relate.
Using ChatGPT to generate a few AI images uses about the same power of it takes to microwave 2 microwave burritos or something like that.
Is that a frozen burrito or is that
frozen? Frozen.
I don't know. My daughter and I love Grok, the videos. You can turn photos into videos.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many. Those are 6 seconds, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
So we do about a dozen a day, back and forth.
Yes.
And then that's the question about our utility rates. You see a lot of states that have had an influx of data centers, their utility rates have gone through the roof.
Right. So there was a session that was sponsored by AC Electric, and Jeff Petrini was the moderator. But you had Southern California Edison, you had PG&E. I'm just looking here.
Yeah, Kyle actually stepped in because Jeff.
Oh, okay. You're right. Okay,
Sanders.
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
And so it was really interesting to me, the utility companies kind of insight and their forecasting on energy needs, and we are way behind the power curve. Way. It's shocking.
Doubling demand. In
Right.
20
I mean, we
years.
talk about oil, gas, solar, wind, but the power needs and the infrastructure to handle that. We have so much work, it's not even funny. Maybe we can elaborate on that a little
Well,
bit.
and that's why nuclear, it's about diversity, right? You want not just one source. That's why nuclear is so important. And, we can argue that's really like the cleanest, right, form of energy. I grew up, of course, in the 3 Mile Island, that time where there was a fear of nuclear. But the technology is, look, we're 50 years later. And there will be smaller nuclear plants, like the 50 megawatts, 100. But the NIMBYism, we're really scared of. So, right, we have the nuclear that gives, 10% of our power, the push to decommission that. The legs of the stools, we're losing those legs. I mean, and again, we had blackouts in the 80s or 90s, I remember even on the East Coast. So that's what really concerns me. And but projects like HydroStore, the great thing is it's 8 hours, beyond that 4 hours. So can we get these storage projects that, we can have that in reserve? But with the demands of the technology, it is really unclear how.
It's not just the energy production, but it's the energy delivery. The stations, substations, and
Right.
kind of categorizing from 10,000 feet. But the infrastructure to get the power from where you generate it to where you need it, that to me is a heavy lift.
It's the number one issue in economic development, as you know, is power availability and fold-in cost. Before it was workforce, that's important, but now we have these projects, right, that are not guaranteed power, or if they are, maybe it's 2 years. We were over at Rio Tinto, talked about their potential in their industrial park where there's cogen, which this is the thing we're looking for, that last mile. Kind of like rail, just because you're on rail adjacent to rail doesn't mean you're going to have rail service.
Right.
So this is the thing that's impacting economic development in our state, San Joaquin Valley, but nationwide.
What's the delay or the hiccup? Is it CPUC,
Well,
permitting,
that's the thing
CEQA, just everything
Everybody's
plus 10 more?
It's kind of like Spider-Man. That's two Spider-Mans, right? Right. And maybe we should ask ChatGPT. But you're right. And you hear, well, hey, if you know about the project in advance, make sure to, give us your requirements. But the CPUC, I'm glad they were at the event. How do we make regulation? They talked about certainty, reliability, and clarity. That's what everybody's looking for. And we could lose jobs, right? We have family wage jobs. Kern County is hot now in the industrial world, obviously recreation. But are these projects not just having spec buildings available, but having the energy, that last mile?
And I heard there was a common theme too, though, and that is almost thanking the state of California for recognizing that this is a problem and starting to change their mindset.
CEQA reform.
Yeah, some little things like that I heard that was encouraging.
Well, I mean, that's what, if people want to be reelected. I know there's elections in Georgia where the incumbents lost because of the high electricity rates.
Yeah.
And they're literally the voters said this is the number one issue.
Yeah, well, we recall the governor in California over tripling vehicle license fees.
yeah,
We forgot that though,
I
because they've
remember that.
probably quadrupled since that recall. But that was all over a triple of the VLF. Everybody revolted. So, that was not that long ago.
That's when we had common sense. Now we're rare sense.
Yes, rare sense.
Rare
But
sense,
I know
like
the
that.
legislature's pointed out. You pointed out, Richard. So SB 846 was the one, the bill that was passed in 2022 to extend the Diablo Canyon nuclear site through 2030. They're also working on SB 80, which is a fission and fusion, and also will exempt small modular reactors, which you were talking about earlier, from existing construction restrictions. They're also looking at a few other things right now in relation to nuclear. I know there's talk about potentially taking some of these, I bring like San Onofre comes to mind right off I-5 down near San Diego, where these have been decommissioned, and they're thinking we should probably get these back up and running, but we got to change the regs to get them back up and running because we'll never get them up to today's standards, so to speak.
Well, and think about construction costs now. The projects we've had, like Pacific Steel, that went from 600 to $1 billion. Similar for the hard rock. So that's the other thing, is even getting the permits and then getting them up and running. These projects have just exorbitant increases.
Yeah.
And getting Wall Street funding and maybe federal funding, but it's a lot. Hydro in the past, is it renewable or not renewable?
Right. I've had that discussion actually with the state regarding when it comes to procuring renewable energy. This is related directly to composting, which is a requirement now in our procurement. But I said, well, we get so much energy from wind and hydro, SCE. Oh, well, we love those types of energies. However, those aren't considered, for this legislation, that doesn't count. And I'm like, we probably can't get any greener in our energy portfolio, but you only want to count the one that comes from, cow waste or whatever it might be.
Or they have small hydro versus large hydro.
Yeah.
What counts?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the great thing about the event is we had educators, businesses, government, all in the room, and you have to leave there just thinking like, well, Kern County, we're a rock star, right? Like we all types, occur here. There's nothing like this in the state or in the country that I know of. And so it will be interesting to see how the oil and gas, the permit activity.
But they need to be assured that it's not a short-term herky-jerky thing, right? If you're going to invest in anything, but these are smart people. They're not going to start investing in infrastructure and drilling wells, if it's just until after the election.
Well, and,
right?
and we don't.
Let's be honest.
You want 20, 50
we don't know
years.
who the new governor is, right?
And so we need stability across the board.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Policies that are long-standing.
Is 10 years enough, right? 20, 30, right? 30.
20 to 50, probably the sweet spot for everybody. Yeah, that's going to invest.
And again, with the enhanced oil recovery off the table in terms of hydraulic fracturing, what's in the ground, how much are we going to be able to get without using those, sodium chloride and basically citric acid, the main, I believe. I'm not a scientist. I think those are the main ingredients.
Oh, you sold me.
As far as I know, that's works. Someone's probably screaming at the radio on the way, no, it's this. You can email us, media@tehachapi.com and correct us. I think really there was a good, not that it hasn't been in the past, but I really felt like this year's summit pointed to the fact that like, hey, we have to close these gaps in power. We don't care if it's nuclear. We don't care if it's oil, natural gas. We don't care if it's solar, wind. We all just need to work towards this portfolio. And I really feel like, especially what Greg was pointing out earlier in East Kern, I'm feeling that like this is like an oil boom. Like, they probably had back in the 30s and the 20s out in Taft and Maricopa, and those places were boom towns because of oil. And I almost feel like that's happening now because of the renewable energy sector. Now, they definitely have fewer jobs than, oil probably does, pulling it out of the ground full time. A lot of temp construction jobs and some maintenance along the way. But I really feel like there's, seeing that happen, it's almost like it's been a shift now to this is the new boom as far as energy goes, because we're going to need it. We're going to keep needing power. It's not going away.
Yeah, and they're amazing community players, right? Like the thing about oil and gas, the nonprofits very fortunate to have their support, social services, and the great thing with the renewable energy, international companies are investing in their local communities. I mean, that's what
they take community serious.
Yes,
they don't just talk the talk; they walk the walk.
Yeah.
Right. That's where we're seeing that partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've dealt with several of them through, sponsorships for high school sports and everything. They're all about it, and there's probably, I think, everyone that has a footprint in Tehachapi invests, which is great. We have our own events, our community events. A lot of the time, are sponsored by these organizations. So yeah, it's in every one of their missions to invest in the communities they serve, and so that's been a nice, nice addition to all of us around us.
Your staff did a great job with this, by the way. Really great job. They hit it out of the park, putting this together.
Thank you. Well, it's we have an amazing planning committee of renewable and oil and gas, and that's there. How do you craft it, right? And we want half a day, 4 hours, not a day long. Yeah. Getting you all right, because you got to get back to the office, and so that was the beauty of every year. The bar gets higher, but we're continually. How do we improve? How do we what to keep and what maybe next. Maybe we'll have an institutional investor panel again. Last year, I know Corey with the AI discussion about AI. That's what we want to make sure that it keeps evolving. We like the energy evolution. This is the summit evolution.
You got to keep it fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't want to hear the same thing year over year, and we don't.
Yeah. Okay.
So good job.
And it's good to see the technologies, and this was a conversation I had with somebody as well. You see so much evolving technology within the renewable energy sector. You don't see that as much in oil and gas because we drill, we pump it out. Obviously there's fracking involved as well, some newer science, but there's not a lot of new tech coming out from that industry.
Or it's in Houston, the R&D's happening and outside of our county, right?
Right. But I mean, we've got new-ish and I remember several years ago when this was probably 6 years ago, HydroStore was just kind of thinking about this area. You shared at the Energy Summit, some Swedish, company that was doing something similar, and these things went up and down with water and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
right.
And what was the Energy Vault? Maybe.
Yeah, Energy Vault. Yeah,
Yes.
And that was sort of the nexus to HydroStore, which is doing something similar, just doing it underground with the big cavern and then the compressed air and all that stuff they're going to use to store power. But that's a really interesting, new style project for renewable energy. And I would assume when they get final approval from CPUC and they get built, that is probably the first of several that'll probably pop up in East Kern.
They have one in Australia too, but you hit on it. Maximo, which is AES, has the so what is it? AI solar.
It's a robot that installs solar panels. Yeah.
So we actually saw 3.0 last month, and they typically can install 2 at a time, then moves forward again. But it also bolts them in. But it creates more jobs and less. That's the thing, and that's why we're not replacing humans, but lifting a 100-pound panel. Probably not something we want
not all day
me or you to do. Repetitive injuries. They have 2 million panels.
Yeah.
So have the robot do that.
Yes, yeah, but you still need a whole team to maintain the robot, program the robot, go down the list.
We're only allowed to lift, 40 pounds at the max on the job.
Yeah. The job description, I don't know.
Other duties as assigned.
Right.
Yeah, right. New technology, it's not just a solar panel, but the technologies that improve efficiency.
Yeah.
And productivity.
Well, the power companies, with their new lines, the way they've coated them with different things, so it's safer. And even oil and gas, Corey, I think that there's a lot of technologies probably behind the scenes that you don't see, in the refinery and in the extraction processes and different things.
It's science, right? Like if you go into the control centers, oil and gas has control centers.
Yeah.
Renewable, right? We talked about that with the wind. That's if you just had the average citizen to go in there, they'd be blown away by the science behind it.
Airfoil designs for wind turbine blades,
right?
Low speed, high speed, different things like that. But that creates they're fine tuning the efficiencies.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what we are in that innovation center, right? Obviously, aerospace down the road. So that's what we all should be proud of and celebrate. Not just once a year, but between not just in November, but throughout.
Yeah.
One of the panelists had brought up the fact that there's obviously there's a gap to close with power generation, and that's being worked on. But grid reliability and upgrades are sorely needed. The grid has not really grown. I think they said 1%. Some years it was flat.
Wow.
So we're generating all this new power, but yet there hasn't been. And there's a few projects in East Kern because of these that have been developed recently, LADWP and Edison and PG&E and all that. But, there has not been a big statewide investment in the grid itself, and we're trying to electrify everything. You think the infrastructure to get the power is probably be a priority.
Well, the state of California used to be a leader in infrastructure. Aqueducts, highways, freeways, byways, rail, whatever. I mean, fill in the blanks, right? But I read a story the other day, and it hit home for me, and that is the state of California used to be the golden state. Like 1980s.
Okay.
You bought a brand new Ferrari. It was really sexy. Think Magnum PI, right?
Yeah.
That sexy Ferrari. But we still have that same Ferrari in the garage, right? We need to buy a new Ferrari.
That'd be nice.
We need a Bugatti.
Meaning, let's step it up. Right, there's no reason why we can't build high-speed rail. We've got it in our own way. There's no reason why we can't flow more water down the aqueducts because we've gotten our own way. There's no reason why we can't drill more oil wells because we've gotten our own way. We have the old Ferrari in the garage. We need to trade it in, accept our losses, get some good leadership, and buy a new Ferrari.
Well, you know what Lorelei Oviatt, one of her slogans or sayings is, CEQA is hard, litigation is easy.
Yeah.
And we've made it easy, right? But I'm always, when these projects go to Kern County, either city or Board of Soups, I mean, pretty much unanimous consumer, resident support, Board of Soups, et cetera. And I mean, large projects, you might have maybe one person.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that we're in LA County? I mean, stopping good jobs.
And
right?
it's bipartisan too. I mean, obviously the Board of Supervisors is a nonpartisan office. However, some of them have run for seats outside, and whether they run for Republican or Democrat seat. But energy-wise, they're united, especially on the oil front. They understand the value of that to Kern County, the value of to families with jobs and wages. And so that goes out the window. I mean, I'll give the Board of Supervisors a ton of credit. They very rarely argue over these projects because they understand the importance of them, and they approve them. Because
lightning in a bottle. We embrace lightning in a bottle. That's $15 million coming in.
One of these days, I'm gonna have to. You always bring that up. One of these days, we're gonna have to go, Corey. Incognito.
It's not really my
I don't want
jam.
someone to take a picture of
Are we
me
going to
at
spend?
lightning in a
You're going to
bottle.
spend all weekend there, in the yoga tents, and
See,
then
that's where. But they use power, right? Lights.
Have you
music.
seen the photo? I mean,
yes.
it's
That's why I haven't been.
well, I finally came up with my DJ name, Dr. Chair.
Oh, I saw you had the license plate.
so
I meant to ask you, what's the license plate, Dr. Chair?
That's an anagram for Richard. Okay. So that's what I do in my spare time. Although now, if I cut someone off in traffic, guess
They're
what?
going to turn you
I'm
They
Dr.
know.
Chair.
So is that? Did you and your daughter come up
No,
with that?
I did.
Or you?
I did. My wife's traveling abroad. I let her know that I ordered this about 4 months ago. So when
So
she comes
you're
in,
actually paying California DMV extra for
Yes.
that plate.
I know. Do I have to pay every year?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a plate like that, so I would suspect you
So
might.
if I ever perform at Lightning in a Bottle, that will be my.
There you go.
I don't know, like Marshmallow. If I
I
have to
feel
wear.
like you could play the guitar. You could
Okay,
sing
recorder.
drums.
I played the recorder in,
there you
recorder.
go.
when I was in 6th grade.
Okay,
Sure,
I know how
that
to do
counts.
Spotify.
Okay.
That's right. That counts. All you have to do is play Spotify and then just mix other songs in there, and you're a DJ. Congratulations.
Or
you made it.
theremin. What is that theremin? I'd love to play that.
I don't
Yeah.
know what that is.
So
I mean, I have buttons on this thing right here. I could probably hit it and make it sound like a DJ.
Did you hit the
So,
record button? Are
I
we
did
recording
hit
this
the
for sure?
record button,
Thank
but I mean,
goodness.
these other
Golly.
buttons aren't labeled, so if I play it, who knows what the sound effects. Gonna
Anyway,
be, so whether or not-
we're using a lot of energy here talking about
Yes.
nothing.
I
Right?
did
we need
wanna-
to get back to the topic.
I did want to talk about we covered the Energy Summit. The annual award-winning Kern County Market Overview.
Oh, yes.
Is out. We will have copies here at City Hall, so if you'd like to swing by and grab a copy. But this covers, I mean, a lot of the numbers that Richard was talking about here. They're right here in the in this guide, and we're talking about GDP from the county, where it stacks up, employment, a lot of statistics, a lot of things about payroll industry. It's funny, and this trend's pretty similar to the city of Tehachapi, but looking at just top payroll industry, public administration is one of the top. It's one of the top here in Tehachapi, one of the top in Kern County as well. So, but yeah, you've got all the sectors represented, a lot of energy stuff in here. This is kind of a labor of love for you guys, Richard. You do this every year.
We
It's
try
a
to
big
get
lift, is it
Tehachapi
not?
photos in there too. So
Yeah.
worked with the chamber, and one of the pages is about top 10 taxpayers. Guess what? They're basically almost all energy.
Mm-hmm.
But you throw in Wonderful and Rio Tinto, but most of them are energy companies. That's the point. If we lose those companies, then what's the tax base going to look like?
Yeah.
That's just jobs, right?
Yeah, but this covers healthcare. You've got logistics, which happens a lot, in the I-5 area, obviously, economic impact, and a lot of the fact sheets that you point to throughout the year in here. So I encourage folks to take a look and at it because it is a pretty robust document which kind of explains everything economically here in Kern County.
Well, and it's also the digital versions available, it's just a way of where business is boundless. We try to use local. I know there's a lightning bottle photo in there. We added, but it's
you're just stuck on that, aren't you?
well, they already sold out their
really?
initial
Okay.
no 7,000 in pre-sale for next year.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness, that's a lot of people.
But I always, that this is my age. I went on the list this year. They have 200 bands. I knew zero.
200 bands.
Yeah. Performing. So the year before, I knew 3: Fat Boy Slim, Diplo, and I think Cannons.
I know Fat Boy Slim.
Okay.
I remember that back in the day. He was
You
a
guys
one-hit
lost
wonder.
me.
He was a
We get
one-hit
back
wonder
to
in the
Energy
90s.
Summit stuff.
We
here,
are.
you know?
We covered energy. Richard, what else? I mean, we talked about the Energy Summit. We talked about the market overview. Anything else in KDC's
We
pipe?
have coming up the State of the County Chairman's Dinner. That will be at the incoming Philip Peters. That'll be at the board, his speech, and then we'll go over to Luigi's like last year. Let's see, the Career and STEM Expo is on March 26th. We're number 4 in the country for STEM, right? So we have 150 exhibitors. I know Key just signed you guys on as a sponsor today.
okay.
So,
Good. Oh, good.
So we sent it out about an hour ago.
Nice.
But there's 3,500 kids, and they need to see what opportunities are in their backyard. Look what's happening in East Kern, right? I mean, even if you're in Bakersfield, you can drive an hour and work at Pacific Steel.
Yeah.
Pay $70,000 plus. But when I go speak, 9 out of 10 kids are unaware of this project.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we do the show. We're Business Boundless. We have Mark Olson on next week to give an update. But that's the thing. We just have to keep talking about these. Even our citizens, all ages, are unaware. Obviously, even some Hard Rock, they say Hard Rock Cafe. I'm like, well, there's the cafe.
There's a cafe.
But there's also a casino. So we have to keep, in lieu of not having a business journal, right? I mean, Fresno has a 40-page weekly.
Yeah.
We do not have such a vehicle in Kern County. So it's really incumbent on us to, like you all do a great job with Tehachapi, with your monthly GTDC meetings. This is what, kind of county-wide, how do we tell the story of these phenomenal projects in our own backyard? Because the employers aren't going to get the resumes, right, if the residents aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
So we really need to connect the two, the business to the community.
And I think really you brought up Pacific Steel, and I'm excited to see Mark on Where Business is Boundless. But that's been a project probably 5 years in the making. Since
Late 2019. Yep.
Yeah, and Mark's lived in Tehachapi since he moved here and started that project basically. And I know we're looking to probably have a pretty big impact. About 300 workers that are going to be staying in Tehachapi over the next couple of years as they get that going. Because some of them are commuting now from Fresno to go work in Mojave. So they've already said, we need hotel rooms. And so we're working with them to get them, put up here in Tehachapi so they can be closer to the job site, which is great. And then that skill, I mean, it's a manufacturing, recycling steel and turning into rebar, but it's very similar to the process that we have currently with the, cement plants around us. So the workforce is here. That solid manufacturing industrial workforce is here. So encouraged. I think they're going to have their full-time counts about 300 when they do get done with construction. And so that workforce is here in East Kern, which is encouraging to see.
Yeah,
how that's
the
gonna
labor
benefit.
shed, 20 miles is 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we always have to talk about, drive time. I mean, when those people came from L.A. to the casino, I'm sure about half of them thought it was going to take 4 hours or 3 hours, even though we have GPS. But that's why we always promote in this publication drive time. We never say we're 100 miles.
It was only 50 minutes, 50 minutes.
50 minutes. We timed it.
We timed it.
Doorstep to doorstep.
Yeah, door to door, 50 minutes.
Yeah, in Santa Clarita, sometimes when I'm down in that area, they're like, "Wow, you live in Bakersfield? You're going back tonight?" It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that far.
So this is what's going to happen. That's a $1 trillion economy. We're a $50 billion. So that parity, right? We're going to projects like Pacific Steel, Hard Rock. We're going to see we're number 2 economy in the valley. We're going to be number 1. We'll surpass Fresno again. We did several years ago when oil prices were high.
Yeah.
But look for I think we're going to see kind of a big boost, and with the assessed values related to oil and gas. So I'm pretty optimistic about.
I'm excited. I think these are very exciting times for us. Lots of opportunities to seize the moment and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And employ people and get things done in the appropriate way.
And we'll be number one because Fresno's spending all their time putting together a weekly business publication, and we're out doing work.
We actually do it.
We're doing work. That's going to be the difference.
Yeah, right. And they've had NIMBYism that has not hit our area yet. I'm talking to up north and some of the projects.
Oh, really?
So I think the South Valley, you can look at Kings and Tulare. I think they're still pretty business friendly.
Right. We
know Kern County is, but I think we're going to see projects that maybe were originally going north coming to south.
Some of the Bay Area residents are moving into Fresno County and bringing that
was one of their largest
attitude with them.
Yeah, one of the largest post-COVID migrations
You
was
have to
Bay Area
generate
to
power.
Fresno.
You have to pump oil. You have to move water. You have to grow crops. You have to mine
Minerals.
gravel, minerals, whatever. In Kern County, we have it all.
Or you have to build, apartments. And we have one of the largest in Kern is going Bakersfield. But a lot of places, hey, why would I want apartments in my neighborhood? So, of course, the supply stays the same. Demand goes through the roof. Like, look at Seattle, communities like Seattle, Portland. No real new home building.
Yeah, you don't want apartments in your own backyard, but
Right.
Isn't New York City full of apartments?
Right.
I mean, honestly, one of the premier cities in the entire world.
And you buy them like a home. A lot of people buy them like a home.
But they
buy
also
their
rent
apartment.
them, right? I'm sure that a ton of them. I'd be curious to know how many are owned or how many rented.
That's a great.
I mean, they're beautiful.
Are there like in Manhattan? Does Manhattan have any
I don't
picket
know.
fences?
Not the last time I was there. I did not. And actually, I've
family unit.
There's some. You go out to the areas of Brooklyn, you find some of the brownstone homes, right? My great grandparents actually, that's the first home they owned was in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. It was a brown.
They're all connected, right?
But they're all connected.
Yeah.
You got your stoop, and that's it.
That would
and then
be
you're
good.
building.
But my point is, if done right and maintained, why not?
Yeah.
That's it. And again, we support residential growth too. And that's why we're still relatively affordable because the supply continues to go up. Like I know you have several projects. We have to meet demand, right? And the areas that prices have gone through the roof are ones that have no new significant housing, units built in the last 5 to 10 years.
So that actually ties into our Follow the Water podcast series. Richard's bridging the gap.
Follow the Water.
So go back and listen to Follow the Water.
Tease that or leave it alone. But yeah, Follow the Water podcasting. We've been trying to educate. Well, we have been educating the public on water, the resource, the precious resource that we all have, not just Tehachapi, but from the Mississippi West.
Yeah, and that's been the whole point of home prices. People complain they get too high, it's so expensive, this and that. Demand and supply and demand, very simple equation there. But when the state talks about building more homes, they keep talking about we need to build more affordable homes.
Yeah,
well, you just need to build more homes in general because what happens is you build at market rate.
Right.
The old homes lower in value, and then the price is lower. That becomes your starter home. Like no one's starter home really needs to be a brand new build. Your starter home should be something that someone's lived in before, and then you buy it, you get equity, and then you sell it and you upgrade. Right? I've done it several times. That's how it works. And so you do need that supply in order to keep the prices down.
Well, the average I read new home owner is 40 years old now. It used to be in 30s, low 30s.
Yeah, I think I bought mine at, I was 28, 29. So I was still in my 20s, technically.
We were in Seattle. We got a townhome, but that was in my late 30s.
Yeah.
Which was 200 at the time, 1,000. Now it's 700.
Wow.
I mean, just for a three-story, very, 1,000 square foot.
Yeah.
So this is...
I guess it's all relative, though. It's a sliding scale. You make more, things cost more, but it sure seems to me like housing these days is out of reach. There's no way I could afford my house.
Yeah.
Well, and then
compared to what I paid for it, what it's worth today. And I've lived in my house 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now with home, we talk about insurance, right? All these other... I mean, half the kids that are 18 years old don't have a driver's license. Well, why? Because They have Uber, their parents.
That one's crazy to me because
rates.
I've known people who've had teenagers and they say they're 16. I said, why don't they have a license? They're not interested in getting it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
The day I turned 16, I took my driver's test.
My birthday, I took it right here in City Hall because back in the day, the DMV came up once a week on Wednesday. My birthday fell on Wednesday in
I was 15 and a half.
Yeah, 1996. And I took it right here at City Hall and drove around and I passed my driver's test. Like the day I turned 16.
Well, but the high schools used to offer, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's one, but but the cost of, car insurance is, so who's going to pay for it? And then even new cars, if you get your child a new, it's $45,000 is the cost of a new car.
I heard
They shouldn't
the
get
other
a new
day, the
car.
average price is $50,000.
Yeah, okay.
At this point,
You're-
and I'm
you're-
like, holy moly!
Your kid's first car should be something. It needs to be safe, but it also needs to be kind of a struggle at the same time. Like you need
My
to,
first car was a Plymouth Fury 3. It was a
84 Jeep
boat.
Wagoneer. All right,
I think
that
my
was me.
dad bought it for me for like $200 or
Right.
something.
And
but
it
if
was
somebody
safe.
hit me, then
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know it.
You wouldn't even know.
Now they would know if I hit them. But
I had a
yes,
Ford
it was a fun car.
Escort, yellow Ford Escort with stick shift with louvers.
Nice.
But I
louvers.
loved it. It was so, it was.
Yeah, but it took energy to build those cars.
That's right.
And
And gasoline to power them,
And
right?
gas to
and
power
oil
them.
to power
And
them.
we paid about $1.99
Yeah.
for the gas back then.
Good wrap up, Greg. That's the way to get us back off our tangent. Richard Chapman, Executive Director, Kern Economic Development Corporation. Thanks so much for joining us. And folks, how can they obviously kind of learn more about KEDC?
Yes, KernEDC.com. Thank you. And then the videos of the conference will be coming out in the next week or so. Videos, photos. And then everyone can really know who Ed Begley Jr. is once they go through that. But yeah, we have a newsletter that anybody can go on the website, sign up. We'll push out news about projects coming to Kern, recent rankings, and events. So we'd love to. We have about 2,000 on list. Would love to build that and be on as well LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Well,
right.
keep up the good work, sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for the
appreciate it.
invite.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Folks,
yeah.
if you have any more questions for us, you can email us, media@tehachapi.com, or if Richard messed up the chemical compounds in the drilling fluids, you can correct us
Yeah,
there
there
at
you go.
media@tehachapi.com.
You notice I stayed silent during that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
segment.
it sounds
I'm
right
like,
to
I'm
me.
not getting into
correct to
yeah.
me, but what do I know? So anyway, well, thank you guys, and folks, you can obviously, like I said, media@tehachapi.com is our email address. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on Tehachapod.
You've been listening to Tehachapod. If you have a question, a thought, or a suggestion, email media@tehachapicityhall.com. We'll catch you again soon, right here on Tehachapod.